Hey everybody, this is Mike, and I wanted to take a few minutes to do a review. Sorry I'm using this funny approach. I didn't go through tech for this because I was going to go do the review one way, but I decided at the last minute to do it another way, to do it this way. So I might have told some of you may know that in my previous life I used to breed Newfoundland dogs, and at one point had 35 of these dogs up in Maine, out in a rural area, and you can see they're quite large dogs. Some people said I used to breed cattle dogs. So I realize that this is a burdensome homework, particularly if you're not into the quantitative stuff, or that's not your thing, or you haven't had a lot of business training. But remember that all of this analysis, all this plotting calculation, for some of you, all we're trying to say is, what's my break even on this project, and how much of this segment do I need to break even or achieve my objectives, okay? And at that point you can say, well, is this achievable, okay? And this is a fundamental thing. Anytime you're doing a marketing strategy, you need to know if the customers are there, if you have a chance for success. So I generically call this, do a dog food analysis. Go in to that specific segment that you're talking about targeting and see if those customers are there, and you could, of course, you're more than welcome to call me up, and I'm going to recommend you do a dog food analysis before you do any marketing strategy, okay? So these 3 steps kind of will break down into these 13 questions, which are the questions covered today. So here's the market in terms of dogs, in terms of dollars. Now the idea here is you don't compete, but Breeders Mix is not going to compete against the market. It's going to compete within a specific segment. And this is the beginning of narrowing that segment down. Let's take it down to 337,000 dogs in Boston through the supermarkets, and it's a $60.5 million market at segment size at this point in terms of revenue. We'll come back and narrow that in a minute. MVU segmentation is singles and marrieds, 21 to 54, household income of greater than $25,000. This was probably the federal poverty limit at the time. So do you know these people? Do you say to yourself, remember that criteria I gave for you for good segment profile? Yeah, I know that guy. No, this is way too generic, right? That this is so non-specific, you have no chance of knowing them. Let me introduce you. This is a segment profile I developed from market research data for a high-quality dog food pet product in Boston. And meet Jason and Jennifer. This is a picture of what they might look like with their dog. They're both high school graduates. Jason's a supervisor at a Lawrence plant, which is just outside of Boston, just below the border with New Hampshire. Jennifer works at a dentist's office. Between them, they earn $83,000 a year. They believe money is a good measure of success, but they feel insecure about the future. They tend to be homebodies. And read through this, okay? You're probably going to say, this is enough detail for you to say, yeah, I know those people, okay? So the point is that these people treat their dogs as one of their kids. They tend to anthropomorphize them. So let's think about that segmentation we did, that narrow. Is it enough to just narrow in terms of Boston supermarket segment? Okay, so let's look at this. Here's the kinds of dog food that is available, and dry takes up 60% of the market, canned is 20, treats are 20, so it's 200,000 dogs, 67,000 dogs, or 36 million and 12 million, okay? And from the information in the case, what is dry food? Dry food is low quality, cheap dog food, okay? Canned food is higher quality, a little more pricier, and treats, I got this reversed here, treats are low quality, high price, okay? So what can you say based on this? Listen, we're not going to compete against dry dog food, right? These people, it's a very difficult chore to convince these people that currently buy dry dog food to switch over to Breeders' Mix. And based on this perceptual map, we have a better choice with canned and maybe treats, okay? We can say that. So we need to cut this down even more. We're going to pick canned and treats. This is going to have to be reduced. Our target is not the 300,000 or 60 million. It's going to be these 67,000 dogs in canned or in treats, and the 12 million in canned or in treats. Okay, so when you really refine your segmentation, you got them counted, right? You know exactly who these customers are. And so setting the price and assessing the reference price, this is canned dog food and dog treats. What you have to do here is, so for example, with Alpo, we're going to be selling Breeders' Mix in 15 ounces. So if we're going to price it as if it's canned dog food, we need to figure out what that would be, because it's all different units. So what you do is divide the $1.50 by 22 ounces. You get a price per ounce, and then you can multiply that and take the average, or you can multiply that by 15, and then based on that to get the reference price, and then based on that you can make some kind of judgment. So canned prices range from 7 cents an ounce to 31 cents an ounce, making it the average being 19 cents an ounce. If you multiply that by 15, that's $1.12 to $5 with an average of $3.60. If it's priced as if treats, it runs from $3 to $13 with an average of $8. Okay, so treats are more expensive generally. So, so with canned, it's a range of $1 to $5. Treats are $3 to $13. How are you going to price Breeders' Mix? Most people say, well, Breeders' Mix is the highest quality pet food, so I want to pick a high price. Something $5 or greater, maybe even $10. Breeders' Treats, maybe even more than $13. Okay, but that gets very high, so that seemed unreasonably high, so I eased it down a little bit. But this is how pricing is done, right? Now you might say, instead of $10 per unit, you might say $9.95 and all that. But this is how it's set. So here is the margins, and this is just taking the percentage. And the trick here is you take the 22% off the $5 or $10 per unit, but then you take this 7% from B. Okay, this is the only way to get this wrong is if you take the 7% from the original price. That's not how it goes, because it's a chain, right? So the variable costs are $40 per case. There's 12 units in a case, so it's $3.33 per unit. If we say it's a $5 unit price, so you subtract $3.33 from $5, you get $1.67. Here's the two projects that we're talking about. So if you're going to calculate the unit break even, it's $530,000 and $730,000 divided by $1.67. So it comes out to 300 or 430,000 units. Now, to calculate the break even in terms of dollars, because it's very intuitive to think about break even in units. So when I was a PA, I got to see 20 patients today to break even. It's very intuitive. But with the dog, in this example, you don't know. Are they going to eat it every day, or only on their birthday, or once a week, or what? So you really have to use break even in terms of dollars, which requires a contribution margin, and that is 0.33. It's $1.67 divided by 5. Okay, so 530 divided by 0.3 is 1.6 million or 2.2 million. Okay, so those are the break evens. Now, how much of that was from our segment size that we calculated? If you recall, the larger, just to make, at this point, let's just go to the larger. It's 2.2 million, and the segment size was 12.1 million. If you had other segments, here they are. So it's 12. And so basically, we're saying, okay, for this project to be successful in year one, you have to come in and grab 18% of the market share. Okay? In what turns out to be a very, very competitive market. I think it was at Alpo and Benefil were spending $10 to $15 million a year to defend their market share. And you're going to try and come in with $730,000 and try to get 18% of the market? No, this won't. This dog will not hunt, as they say. And then you can create an argument for Breeders' Own Pet Food. So that's the case. I hope you enjoyed it. It's a fundamental case. If you have any questions, I will do a streamlined version of these calculations on the midterm, so just make sure you understand what we're doing here, okay? Have a great week, everybody.